What's going on, guys? I'm MrGoldenGamer, and I make gaming videos that nobody watches. This week, we've been slowly drip-fed more and more information each day about Black Ops 7 Zombies. Starting on Monday, we got these teaser videos of radio messages. Then on Tuesday, we got the cinematic for the new map Ashes of the Damned. And today, as I'm recording this on Wednesday, we got the logo for the map Ashes of the Damned. And of course, we got a little bit more information released with all of this stuff, a couple Easter eggs and some of the marketing material that can tell us more about this map Ashes of the Damned. So I'm going to go into all of that in this video, but before I do, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll be covering Black Ops 7 Zombies a whole bunch this year, as well as Black Ops 7, Battlefield 6. I'll be doing some Borderlands 4 videos as well, just all FPS game stuff. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. So first thing, I want to talk about this opening cinematic that you're seeing in the background right now. It starts off just as we left things in Reckoning. We got teleported to the lobby and then we're approached by these 4 people who turn out to be the original Zombies crew. But then a new guy comes in, this southern guy, cowboy guy, whoever he is, and he's carrying these 2 cages with skulls in them, and he uses these skulls to literally suck the souls out of all 8 characters. And this is pretty cool. You can see after the fact that all of our characters look very sickly and pale, and you can see their veins through their skins, and they look almost half dead. So I'm not sure where the story is going with this, but I assume we need to go get their souls back in some way. But regardless, the opening cutscene I think is done very well. Whenever they actually take the time to make one of these, they're usually awesome, and I think they're doing it right this time. We've already heard from Treyarch that they are planning on making opening cinematics for each and every map we get in this game, so that'll be really good for the story, and I just think it makes things feel complete and not half-baked, right? So we also got a blog post along with all of this that basically tells us a little bit about the opening cutscene itself. It basically just narrates exactly what we see here in this cutscene, so interesting. But anyway, they say that we have an expanded crew now, so we can play as any of these 8 characters. What is still a mystery is if we can play 8 people in one game or if it's still limited to 4, but you're given the option, and all of these characters will have voice lines for the story, so you can play as any of our Black Ops 6 characters, and of course you can play as any of the Black Ops 7 characters. So our Black Ops 6 characters, the blog post actually gives a description for each and every one of them. I don't think that's necessary. We're pretty familiar with who these people are, but if you are interested in reading their bios and stuff, I'll link the blog post down in the description below. But like I said earlier, the main thing you'll notice with them now is they look very pale and very sickly because of the fact that that Western cowboy guy just came in and used whatever that skull was to absolutely fuck them up here. So yeah, interesting to say the least, but we have our Black Ops 6 characters returning, but what I am much more interested about is the fact that we are going to see the original 4 Call of Duty Zombies characters. It seems that all 4 of our characters are from a different time period and potentially from different worlds or dimensions as well. So starting off with Tank Dempsey, who is a battle-hardened US Marine who most recently fought through the jungles of 1968 Vietnam. In this fractured reality, his distrust of his new companions and ultimate unfamiliar surroundings have turned this otherwise dependable soldier into the unpredictable wild card of the group. Next up, we have Takeo Misaki, who is a disgraced Ronin who wandered 1591 feudal Japan without master or honor, carrying the weight of his exile as a yoke he cannot cast off. Bound by a code he still barely believes in, he seeks redemption in the chaos of battle. His blade both a burden he must bear and a judgment on his enemies. It is absolutely crazy to me that they went this route with Takeo to 1591, which is crazy to have him from that era, considering he's just like using modern day weapons, and that's not weird at all. But yeah, I'm not sure why they went this route with Takeo, but it's kind of cool, I guess. Our third character is Nikolai, who is a Soviet tank commander from 1984 Afghanistan. Scarred by war and haunted both by betrayal and his own decisions, he masks his bitterness with dark humor, yet remains a steadfast warrior when the shells begin to fall. Nikolai was always the comic relief, saying funny things about Soviet Russia and his vodka, so I hope he remains to be the same character. And last, but certainly not least, Dr. Edward Richtofen. A brilliant but unhinged scientist and hero of the Reich finds himself torn from 1945 in a world where the Axis powers triumphed over the Allied nations. Shaped by ambition and tainted by corruption, he masks his innate sadism and considerable ego behind quick wit and a charming smile. He vows that reality itself will ultimately bow to his designs. It's absolutely crazy to me that they went this direction with Richtofen, making him once again a Nazi as he was originally in those games, but from the timeline he comes from, in a world where the Axis powers won, is so insane. For a 2025 game to be pulling shit like that, you know, it's sensitive stuff talking about World War II. So very interesting. There were actually leaks a little while back that one of the maps was going to be in an alternate timeline where the Axis powers won in New York City that was nuked back in World War II. So if that's true, that'd be insane. And this gives a little bit of credibility to the leak, given that Richtofen comes from this timeline in which the Nazis won. So that's basically all we learned from the blog post, but that's not where the information ends. There's a couple of Easter eggs through these radios that they released on Twitter, which I'm going to talk about here. And then also the key art teased a couple of other aspects of the map. So let's start with the radio logs. The first radio log was an American pilot radioing that he's lost all communications and basically his plane's going down, there's purple clouds and he doesn't know what's going on. So American plane crash is the first one. The second one is a Russian technician at a Soviet missile launch facility who says the entire facility just up and teleported to this new place. And we'll come back to this in a little bit. The third radio is just the song from Transit, that classic tune which you've been hearing in the background this entire video. So we already know that Farm from Transit is going to be in this map, and perhaps a couple of other transit locations will be in the map as well. And the final radio is kind of long, and there's a couple of different things going on here. First, we hear a very weird zombie sound, and then we hear this growl that sounds like an animal growl, right? And then at the very end, we hear Ted, the bus driver from Transit, talking. So Ted will be in this map in some way, shape, or form. So now I'm going to take these radios and connect them to this key art. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the most obvious thing. Right front and center, there is this massive zombie bear in the middle of the screen. So this is going to be one of our boss zombies. Now, I don't think it's going to be the final boss or anything like that. It is just going to be one of those like mangler type bosses. And thank God we're getting something else, something new, something different. I've been really wanting some enemy types that are not just the same recycled enemy types as was so often the case throughout Black Ops 6, right? In that same radio with the bear growl, there's also this really weird zombie noise, right? And I think that's what this little guy is here, hanging off the bumper of the truck. This must be, I'm assuming this is like the special round, like your vermin type enemy. It could be. Almost reminds me a lot of the denizens in Transit, just this little thing that chases you down, right? So maybe that's a nod to the denizens. Maybe this is a denizen. I really don't know. But again, it's nice to see something different, not just vermin or parasites, right? It's nice to see something fresh and something different. The next thing in this image relates to the second radio, that Soviet technician at the launch facility. If we zoom in on the left glasses, you can see in the reflection, there is a rocket here that looks exactly like the rocket from Ascension back in Black Ops 1. And of course, that was reused assets from the campaign in Black Ops 1, as well as the multiplayer map launch. So maybe this is telling us that the Soviet launch facility is going to be Ascension in this map that got teleported into this dark ether space. That would be amazing because Ascension is one of my favorite zombies maps ever. And this might also be hinting at that we're going to see a launch remaster within the multiplayer Black Ops 7. But that's all speculation, not sure. But it does look like we at least have the rocket from Ascension making a return here in this map. Similarly, if we look in the reflection of the other lens in his glasses, we can see this glowing pyramid. Now, obviously, my mind goes to the moon pyramid device when I see a pyramid like this in zombies, but for some reason, I feel like this is something different. I think this is going to be a new space and not something recycled with a very similar concept. I think maybe this ether pyramid or dark ether pyramid, maybe it is very similar to the MPD, but maybe it's just kind of one of those things where it's like a nod to the past of zombies, but is something entirely new. So this is definitely going to be an area in the map though. For sure. It wouldn't be in here teased like this if it wasn't, but I don't think it's really a callback to anything else, but it could be. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one down in the comments below. And obviously, the two things that I haven't touched on in this image is the plane crash. When did we see an American plane crash in Zombies in the past? We have to go all the way back to the original Zombies map in World at War, Nacht or Untoten. The whole thing of that is that an American plane crashed and those soldiers got out and there were all these zombies and they had to fight them. So to me, this might be teasing on the fact that Nacht or Untoten will be one of the locations in here, which is cool, but I mean, it's been done before, so I'm not that excited about it, but I could even be wrong about it. I don't know. It's just a theory, but to me, that theory makes sense. And of course, T.E.D, there is no reference of T.E.D in here at all. Given that T.E.D was the bus driver in Transit, I'm curious to see how T.E.D will be incorporated into this map. Will he be something like Klaus back in Mauer der Toten? It'll be interesting to see. Of course, we know what T.E.D's gonna look like because he is an operator in multiplayer for the Vault Edition, so we know what T.E.D's gonna look like. We just don't know how he's going to be used in this map. So that's everything we've learned so far this week about Black Ops 7 Zombies. At the end of the blog post, they mentioned that the gameplay reveal, the full gameplay reveal, will be next week sometime, so I will be making a video covering that. So if you made it this far and you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. We'll be covering Black Ops 7 and Black Ops 7 Zombies pretty hard this year, as well as Battlefield 6 and other FPS games. So once again, guys, I'm MrGoldenGamer. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.